Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Holistic Travel Therapy Podcast. I am your host, John Wilson, DPT.
And I'm Courtney Condon, occupational therapist. This week, we are coming to you guys with some fun facts and some not so fun facts about the impact of sugar on our bodies.
Yeah, so everyone basically has a good understanding that sugar overall is not good for you. Diabetes is increasing at
Yeah, so
rapid,
much.
rapid amounts. And, we've talked about before that it's not only just diabetes, it's dementia, it's Alzheimer's, it's these,
Cardiovascular disease,
exactly, it's these
strokes, all
yeah,
this.
heart disease, these other factors other than diabetes that
Right.
sugar has a direct impact on.
Yeah, and I think people don't really understand that it is essentially what you're putting into your body day after day that's impacting how you feel, how you think, how your body is functioning on a daily basis. So, we wanted to come to you guys with some of this information because we know that it is so important in our lives and we want to impact your lives in the most positive way.
Yeah, and it's tough because we have been kind of trying to be healthy for as long as kind of we've been together, but it's hard because, as we will talk about in this episode, you'll go to a grocery store and you'll see, sugar free or low sugar, or low fat, and you
Right.
immediately think, oh, if it says that on the label, then it's healthy for me, without even looking at the ingredients. But we've gotten a habit recently at just really looking at the actual ingredients of each snack or each food or drink that we get, and it's actually crazy how much sugar is still finding its way into these drinks and these foods.
Right. And we've talked about it before with kombucha, which is like great for gut health, probiotic, delicious, bubbly beverage. But some of them have a lot of added sugar. So we are trying to be very conscious about that because, as John can probably tell you, I love eating sweet things. Like if we don't have some type of dessert in the house, I am just going to be in a bad mood because I need like chocolate and all that great stuff, which
Yeah,
we'll
don't
talk
we
about
all?
more.
We all have a
Right,
sweet tooth
exactly.
every
That's
now
what
and then.
I'm trying to get at is that we're not saying like, no, sugar is bad, stay away from it. You can't enjoy the things that you like. We are here to give you some of maybe the hard facts about the impact sugar has on your body, but also provide you with some amazing alternatives that have positive effects on your body. So, like we were saying, added sugar is sneaking into everything. I think we know it's in cookies and cakes and soda, but we don't really understand that it's in things that we could sometimes consider healthy, like salad dressings. And as we said, kombuchas and other, you know, lemonade. You might think lemonade it could is better for me than soda, but some of those are also going to have 20, 30 grams of added sugar. What about those naked drinks?
Yeah, so I was just telling Courtney the other day that I used to drink the naked smoothies all the time, and if you know what a naked smoothie is, it basically looks extremely healthy. They have all these extra green ingredients, and they have fruits, vegetables. We have 40 different fruits and vegetables in here. You turn it around, you look at the label, it has 38 grams of added sugar, which is just extremely way too much.
Right. You don't need that much.
No.
We understand that maybe some things are naturally bitter and hopefully you would think if you're adding a real apple or real blueberry that it's going to balance out the bitterness.
And that's the thing. It's, these, and we'll talk about five of them today, five of our favorites, foods and fruits, mainly, that have sugar in them, but it's really just the source of where you're getting the sugar from.
Right. We're speaking specifically today about added sugars.
Mhm.
So as I was saying, salad dressings want to be cautious of those as well as some of those, healthy drinks. And then there is a lot of added sugar in condiments. So besides just your salad dressings, there's going to be added sugar probably in your ketchup. And
Sadly.
yeah, and some of your really tasty dips and dressings that again, for us, it's like we love a good chipotle sauce on our salmon. You want a tasty salad dressing, but you just want to be cautious of that added sugar intake because, as we're going to talk about, it can be associated with a lot of negative things. A study conducted in 2022 with 37,000 participants found that there's a direct correlation between increased sugar intake and risk for Alzheimer's disease among women. That women who consumed 10 grams or more of sugar a day had the highest risk. And it is very easy to consume 10 grams of added sugar if you are not paying attention to that. So just being aware of that, understanding that it has a direct link not only to how you feel right now, we understand that sugar is going to be stored in our body as fuel. Sugar, carbohydrates is your body's main source of energy. So it's good. We want carbs. We want some sugars to be able to be broken down when we need them. The issue is we're not needing them as much as we think we need them. When we're living these sedentary lives and we're exercising, that's great, but we're constantly kind of increasing our sugar intake and not necessarily balancing out that energy expenditure.
Yes, and a big one for me recently has been cereal. So huge cereal
Yes,
guy.
that's another one that was like one of the top added sugars.
Yeah, big cereal guy. Love cereal. Have to have my cereal every single night. I've been eating cereal every night since I was 10 years old. So cereal has a lot of sugar in it, and most people probably know this term of high fructose corn syrup. So high fructose corn syrup is actually sugar that is processed in many different ways. So a study conducted in 2021 actually found that people who ingested high fructose corn syrup actually had increased C-reactive proteins, which basically means increased inflammation in the joints and the gut in the brain, compared to people who took in sucrose, which is, sugar.
Yeah,
So
your normal everyday table sugar.
Exactly. So basically, taking in that high fructose corn syrup is actually worse than just taking in, regular sugar or sugar from fruits and vegetables. So basically, anything with high fructose corn syrup is bad. Sodas, cereals.
Right. It's cheaper. So a lot of commercial products are going to be using it because you can make more with less money being spent on your product. So it is very common, like John said, in your sodas, in your big box cereals, in those cakes and those cookies that we were talking about. So amazing point. And as John said, it increases inflammation, which is essentially the root cause of everything that is going on. Cardiovascular disease, inflammation. When we think about joint problems, arthritis, inflammation. So you may not realize that the reason your knee hurts isn't necessarily because of your knee, it's because of your diet. And that's what's just so mind blowing some days.
So at night recently, I've been kind of switching it up, doing a little bit of grainless granola, which has a little bit, less sugar. Granola itself isn't the best because it is also high in sugar. We're doing just some almonds, something like that at night, or maybe some fruit with some cottage cheese or something like that, just to get that little fix.
Yeah, or yogurt without added sugar. I think yogurt's another big one where there's a lot of added sugar in it because yogurt unto itself doesn't taste probably very good. And we have no sugar added yogurt, so we can attest that it doesn't taste very good plain. But when you add fruits and you add a little bit of cacao nibs and maybe a little drizzle of honey, you've turned this kind of boring, not delicious thing into a really satisfying yet healthy dessert.
Exactly.
I also wanted to touch upon that there are animal studies, which every study kind of starts off as an animal study. I know they don't get a lot of great rep, but it's not very humane just to, do things on humans and not really know the consequences. So, one of the animal studies conducted were feeding mice or rats sugar water versus regular water. The mice that were drinking sugar water had increased amyloid plaque buildup in the brain. again, amyloid plaque buildup is the number one factor in a person who has passed knowing if they had dementia or not. So it is, again, showing that in animal models, eating sugar, drinking sugar is developing that plaque. That's why Alzheimer's and dementia specifically is getting coined that term type 3 diabetes, because of the relationship between amyloid plaque buildup and uncontrolled blood sugar, which is essentially what's happening to our body when we're eating all these high sugar foods, is that our insulin is spiking and it is not being able to be regulated very well. So we could probably go into a whole episode alone about insulin and better ways to manage your blood sugar. Maybe stay tuned for that. But I also wanted to add that because we don't really realize that direct correlation. We're like, we know sugar is bad, but how is it bad? We're literally seeing that in the brain. It has a direct impact.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I kind of want to also touch on, we talked about the cereal, we talked about different, foods, talked about the naked drinks, coffee. So I am somebody who does not like the taste of coffee. Over the years, I've definitely kind of gotten better and I'm able to drink coffee with much less sugar and cream. But a lot of people out there, they love their coffee, but they're gonna, they add sugar, add cream, stuff like that. So basically, okay, you want to, not do sugar, let's do artificial sweeteners. So artificial sweeteners, same kind of thing, sugar alcohols, erythritol, stuff like that. Your body's going to take it as sugar. It's sweet, it tastes
Right,
like
your
sugar.
body kind of initially goes off of the taste. Like, hey, this is sweet. I need to break down sugar.
Yeah, I need to, release insulin, all that stuff. But it's not sugar, so it's not processed the same. And multiple studies have come out saying that, it leads to all kinds of issues, mainly in the gut. The microbiome completely messes up when it comes to the artificial sweeteners. So basically, the next step, okay, how can I, add something to my coffee where I can actually like the taste of it?
Right.
So I've come to honey. Honey has been my recent thing that I've been adding to coffee. But I've actually, again, done some research on the honey. Again, you got to look at specific wording when it comes to honey, because a 2020 study actually came out that 80% of the honey that is sold in, Walmart and different grocery stores actually has added sugar or added preservatives in the honey to keep it on the shelves and keep it, lasting longer and all that good stuff. So you really got to look at specific keywords, like the fructose and all that stuff as
Right.
far
Yeah.
as the honey
Looking at
goes.
the ingredients, it's something that, you know, you might be like, oh, I don't have a time for that. Well, good. Because, first of all, if you're shopping around the perimeter of a store and you're getting mainly fruits and vegetables, you don't really need to look at the ingredients of things because they're single ingredient items. But if you are going to go venture into the middle aisles, we all do it. Maybe take those extra few seconds to flip over the back of the package. If you don't understand the ingredients on the back, if you see like a jar of honey says honey, comma, high fructose corn syrup, comma, water, comma, glycerin. Okay, it's no longer just honey, right? You kind of want to, be like, hey, maybe I should look for a different alternative.
Exactly. So the main ones they found were cane sugar, corn syrup, palm sugar, invert syrup, rice syrup, and inulin syrup. So those are the six sugar alternatives that they found in the study. So all of those are linked to diabetes, chronic kidney disease, and acute kidney failure. So definitely
Yeah, not great things.
things you kind of want to look at when you're looking at honey, but also any,
Right, those are all other names for different types of sugar, and maybe it doesn't say high fructose corn syrup on it anymore because people are understanding that that's getting a bad rep, but maybe it's saying rice syrup, which rice doesn't sound that bad, right? Rice
yeah,
is
it's
a
good.
normal thing. So maybe I should be getting things with rice syrup, but we're understanding that might not be good either. So
So what can we eat
Yes, tell us.
to crave our sweet
But we
tooth?
are saying honey's good. So if it's raw,
Yeah, so that
yeah.
definitely. So go to your local farmers market. Go to grocery store, and yeah, look for that raw, unfiltered honey, straight from the bees, and
Straight from the
straight
bees.
into the coffee. I do a little bit of almond or oat, milk with it.
Which usually it's unsweetened vanilla, so you're
Yes,
not literally
another.
adding additional sugar onto it.
Exactly. Unsweet. You throw a little bit of honey in there, tastes great. So that's kind of what I've been going with.
Perfect. And like John was getting at, there are other things that we've been implementing into our diets to kind of crave that sweet need and add extra benefits into our diet. I'm going to start off with probably the most obvious one that everyone knows that it's probably like a superfood is blueberries. So blueberries are delicious. They are, if you are like, no, some blueberries are tart. If you haven't tried frozen blueberries are amazing. Blueberries have the highest antioxidant value out of any fruit, vegetable out there. Antioxidants are so important because they are what is combating oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is inevitable in today's environment. We are unfortunately constantly overstressed with our daily lives, with increased access to social media, constant being on in the brain, increased blue light, increased pollution. So, unfortunately, our bodies are having a little extra stress than normal. The best way to combat that is by ingesting foods rich in antioxidants. So, blueberries are going to be the best bang for your buck as far as antioxidants. They also have levels of fiber, polyphenols, which again are super important when it comes to antioxidants profile and longevity.
Yeah,
So, blueberries, like I said, they're probably everyone's like number one. Oh, blueberries are good for you, but why are they good for you, right? It's specifically because of their high antioxidant profile.
Definitely. And then you throw some blueberries in with a banana, which bananas are number 2 on the list. Bananas are a little high in sugar though, so you don't want to overdo it with the bananas. I usually have like one banana a day with my blueberry and strawberry smoothie. But bananas are high in fiber, potassium. Everyone knows bananas are, the number one.
Yeah,
and
that's
number
like what
two.
they're coined for.
Exactly, with the potassium. Although I want to say there is one food that has more potassium than a banana.
An avocado actually has more potassium, but
I
there's
think it was
probably
something
another
else.
one.
I don't know. But a lot of potassium, vitamin B6, vitamin C. Bananas are great. Actually found in a few studies that it can, if although they do have high sugar in them, it can also reduce the risk of hypertension if you eat bananas instead of the other cakes, cookies, stuff like that.
Right. And specifically, a lot of the studies look at green bananas, which are not to their full ripeness, which you're like, why would you eat a green banana? But as John and I were saying, if you put it in a smoothie or if you cut it up and freeze it, it's literally like a little piece of frozen banana is like a little ice cream bite. Like they're so good. And you can add a little bit of the next thing that we're going to talk about, which is dark chocolate onto it, and then you have like a chocolate dipped ice cream bite.
This one was surprising for me because even in the last few years, I did not know that dark chocolate was, actually good for you. I mean, obviously not a ton of dark chocolate, but the right amount of dark chocolate with the polyphenols, surprising to me to know that that's actually good for you.
Yes, so not only the polyphenols in dark chocolate.
We're going through.
I know
We're in an airplane right now.
Should we like tell them that we're okay? So not only the polyphenols, but they also have flavonoids. That's another like really popular term. Flavonoids in dark chocolate. Flavonoids are used in the body to help increase blood flow and dilate blood vessels, which again, when we are seeing these heart attacks, strokes, it's all due to inadequate blood flow throughout the body. And by increasing the intake of these flavonoids, you are increasing your blood flow. I do want to point out, though, that again, when we're thinking about dark chocolate, we want to be aware of our cacao percentage. For example, and again, I would say a little dark chocolate is better than none if you're choosing between milk chocolate and dark chocolate. But like, don't be eating like Hershey's dark chocolate thinking like, oh, I'm getting all the flavonoids possible, right?
You can taste the difference when you have real dark chocolate.
Right. So you want to look for something, I think the studies are saying 70% and higher, which really 70% tastes very
good,
well, So being aware of that. And then the other thing is, what is the difference between cocoa and cacao? Did you know this? I didn't even know this, besides looking at studies. So cacao is going to be your raw chocolate beans, processed. Cocoa is going to be roasted. So apparently roasting, as we kind of cooking denatures things a little bit just in general. We have to cook our food, but cooking denatures things. So you're not getting as much benefit from cocoa compared to cacao because of that roasting process. So just being aware of that, thinking for something 70% dark chocolate or higher. And like I said, if you maybe have a little dark chocolate square or you melt a little bit of dark chocolate with coconut oil, dip some frozen bananas in it, freeze them for a little bit longer, you literally have nature's ice cream bites. Yeah. And they're so good.
Yeah, I agree. Extremely good. We'll run through these last two because we got some stuff going on.
Lots of static in the background. Sorry, guys.
A lot of static in the studio today. We got these last two. Number 4, cherries. So cherries have the polyphenols. They have the vitamin C.
Right.
They also have natural melatonin, which, first of all, which I didn't know recently, serotonin is a precursor to melatonin. So anything that's going to increase the serotonin is going to produce melatonin as well. Great to know. The cherries are going to help with that sleep, that feeling of happiness, calmness that you get with the serotonin melatonin combination. Yeah. So having a little bit of cherries before bed or a little cherry juice, as long as you're kind of looking at the sugar.
Right, and these things are going to have sugar, right? Because they are naturally sweet. But understanding the difference between sugars and added sugars and just being aware, right? You want to be aware of overall sugar intake. So we're not saying like, eat a whole banana and 5 dark chocolate squares and, do all this crazy stuff. These things can be implemented a little bit every other day. Eat a variety. Don't eat, okay, bananas are good for me. I'm going to eat a banana every single day. You can if you love bananas, right? But maybe you have a banana one day, the next day you have some blueberries, and you have a little bit of, probably have dark chocolate every day, so I can't say that you can't have things every day. So just being aware of what you're putting in your body and how it is impacting you, I think is super important.
Exactly. There's so many fruits out there. A lot of them do have sugar, but we're kind of just bringing you some fruits that are going to have the sugar that are better to kind of crave that sweet tooth because, like Courtney said, she has a sweet tooth. I definitely have a sweet tooth as well. That later, after dinner, you want a little dessert. Like she said, freezing of the fruit, game changer. So
the last one we're going to talk about is apples, which you probably heard the saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But why exactly is that the term? Because a lot of things we've already talked about. Apples have increased polyphenols, so they are going to provide that good antioxidants, which is going to decrease your risk of, or decrease the buildup of free radicals in your body. And then a lot of the benefit of the apples comes from the skin. So the skin of the apples is what's so important. You eat. It has fiber, which is going to help with your gut. It has prebiotic fiber in it. So we've talked a lot about that on this show, getting in your prebiotics, your probiotics. Get them in through natural foods. So apples have those enzymes. They also have a compound called fistine, which has been shown to have preventative impact, again, on Alzheimer's disease. So we are getting in all these benefits. from eating an apple. And again, dip it in some dark chocolate, maybe. Like you could make your own healthy caramel, covered apple and make it so that it's a delicious dessert for you, but you're also getting in some of these amazing additional benefits. Yeah. So, oops, sorry.
So those are the 5. I guess 4 of them are fruits and dark chocolate. That's kind of what we talked about today.
Right.
If you're having a sweet tooth, you're craving something, those are kind of the fruit foods that we go with. Like Courtney said earlier, just be on the lookout. I know a lot of people do know this already, and I think it's getting a little bit better. But just be on the lookout for those keywords. The high fructose corn syrup, definitely in sodas, drinks. If you heard one of our last episodes when we talked about kombucha, definitely just kind of look at it. Look at the added sugar. So kombucha is going to have some sugar in it.
Yeah, it has to have sugar to ferment.
Exactly. So,
but again, what are they adding back in after they fermented it to make it taste so sweet?
Exactly. So if you see 5 grams of total sugar, 0 grams of added sugar, that's usually what we try to go with. A lot of them do say 15 grams total sugar, 10 grams added sugar. So it's like you definitely want to kind of look at those when you're trying to be healthy. Again, if you're kind of looking at honey as well, look at the honey. Make sure that it doesn't have that added extra rice syrup and all the other keywords that we're looking at to try to reduce our sugar level as much as possible, reduce our artificial sweeteners as much as possible, so that we can live long, healthy lives.
And I talked about it briefly, and I'll just circle back to it real quick. Like I said, shop the perimeter. It's going to be the best place to get your fruits, your vegetables, your meats, your milk without added sugar in it. Do that as best as you can. And then if you need a few extra things going into the aisles, that's when you're going to have to just be a little bit more aware. And that's why we're here. If you guys have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Let us know what you thought of this episode, because this is something that I really feel like is so important to get out and to educate people on. And we understand. We like to have a good, froyo cup every once in a while, and we know there's probably tons of added sugar in it that we're not going to think about, because we're enjoying a delicious dessert together and we're having a great time. And we've talked about that as well. So just understand, we're not saying all these things to scare you, to stress you out. We're saying them to help make you more aware of what you can do to help and add these good fruits and vegetables into your diet to make your life better overall.
Yeah, even if you just make like one change,
Right, small things.
You change one small thing, you can still have that, ice cream or something, once a week or once every couple weeks. You just make just that small change, maybe add some, like I said, honey to the coffee instead of 3 tablespoons of sugar. Just something small at first, and then kind of build from that. And we do apologize because our producer is actually building our new studio in the back as we're doing this episode. So we apologize for that extra noise that you guys had to deal with.
Thank you for bearing with us, guys. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're continuing to learn, and we appreciate you guys, listening, reaching out. It's been great.
What's our challenge this week, John?
Our challenge this week is to make one change as far as the sugar goes. So look at your weekly diet as far as drinks and food, and kind of what has extra sugar. What one change can you make throughout the week to kind of reduce that sugar level a little bit?
And like I always like to say, when you make that change, let us know. We want to celebrate in your success as well. Thank you again so much for tuning in. If you like this podcast, share it with a friend who might also benefit from this information, and tune back in next week for some more great info.
Peace.